This is one of the most important videos I will make on this channel. I will not hold back one bit because I want every single follower of mine to not lose money this cycle. What we're seeing now is no joke. The agenda today is as follows. We're going to talk about the state of the market. Is the top in? We're going to look at some indicators, and especially the last one, which kind of scares me, how to take profit, and finally my strategy moving forward. This is not a video you want to miss. Nothing I say is financial advice. So first, state of the market. We got our 25 basis points cut that was priced in. However, now it looks like we're only going to get 2 rate cuts in 2025 as opposed to 4 as was previously indicated. Inflation is now what the Fed is concerned about, and there is no QE in the near future as the Fed is going to continue reducing their balance sheets. Therefore, we're seeing both S&P and crypto taking a massive hit. Both Bitcoin and especially altcoins are bleeding heavily right now. Another thing to note is that Bitcoin dominance on the daily chart has had a pretty significant bounce from the 54.5% level. If we want an altcoin season, then moving forward, we need to see Bitcoin dominance dropping, all while Bitcoin either goes up or stays around the same level. So have we topped for this cycle? So there are an infinite amount of indicators that are relevant. I'm going to make it easy and give you 3. The first one is going to be others dominance. If we take a look at both 2017 and 2021, in both scenarios, we saw a steep incline where we had several weeks of green printing. This cycle, we haven't seen anything remotely close to this yet. One thing to note is that back in 2020, the Fed announced QE measures starting in March to stabilize financial markets and support the economy during the pandemic. So the Fed was stimulating the economy during our altcoin season. During this period, people were willing to throw stimulus checks on anything with JPEGs, which obviously contributed a lot to a chart like this. Therefore, I don't think this cycle is going to be like that, and especially if we remain in QT this cycle. Either way, you should pay close attention to others' dominance, as it will be a solid indicator and probably one of the best for your altcoins. Second indicator is socials. And this is equally as important. Take a look at the top YouTubers' views and how they compare to earlier this year. And more importantly, how they compare to 2021. You can see that in 2021, it was a completely different story. This guy was pulling insane views together with a lot of other YouTubers as well. This is the same guy in March where his views are drastically different, even with better thumbnails and overall production. This is also a snapshot from recent weeks where his views are nowhere close to what Mania Face would give. You also need to factor in that these guys have way more subscribers now, and there are also more people on YouTube in general than there were a couple of years ago. Another social indicator is hype through friends and family. I remember last cycle Bitcoin hit 60K. I think the moment they start asking how to buy Bitcoin, and especially altcoins, is a very severe top signal that you should pay attention to. Finally, for social indicator, you can check some of the social apps like Coinbase ranking. Now, keep in mind, this was ranked number 1 in financial apps for quite a few days. However, back in 2021 and 2017, it was ranked number 1 overall. There's a huge difference between being ranked 1 in the financial category and ranked 1 in the overall category. Another thing that worries me here is that we have more apps related to crypto, for instance, more hot wallets like Phantom and other exchange apps that are going to take up more of the market share. And finally, the last indicator, which is the scariest because it's the hardest one to notice, but most important one, and this is greed. Now hear me out, because the next couple of minutes will save you this cycle. One thing that really stuck with me from last cycle was the sentiment through 2021. I was present back in 2017 as well, but I don't think the sentiment was even comparable to what we saw in 2021. And what really terrified me was the fact that many of the big YouTubers tried to convince their followers that we were still early. Many of the YouTubers said that we haven't seen anything yet, and the thing I kept on hearing was that this was not the blow-off top we saw back in 2017. Of course, many of them have now deleted their videos because it turns out that the top was actually in. Some of these people have been in crypto even longer than I have. Yet they were unable to see the top indicators, for instance, others' dominance that they've been talking about on a daily basis, their YouTube views reaching new all-time highs every single day, Coinbase ranking number 1 overall, everyone asking how to buy the next 100x altcoin. All the indicators were there. Meanwhile, all they were doing was cherry-picking some other indicator that showed that the top was in fact far away. This period, if you've ever been a part of this, is one of the most surreal experiences you can have in your life. You wake up, you see your investment has doubled. Then you wake up the next day and your investment has doubled again and again and again. During this period, I think I averaged around 3 hours of sleep a night for weeks, and it sucks to admit, but these weeks were filled with nothing but happiness, euphoria, and greed. My team and I had set most of our sell targets beforehand because we only had the 2017 cycle as experience. What scared me the most in retrospect was that I didn't realize I was greedy until the cycle was over. And this is why this is the hardest and most important indicator of all, because you're not relying on something quantifiable, you're relying on your own emotions. With that being said, I don't think we've experienced anything close to what kind of greed we saw back in 2021. Nor do I think the other indicators are flashing. I do not think the top is in for this cycle. However, I don't think we will get close to what we saw in 2021, but that we still have some left. I will be fully honest when I think we've topped for this cycle, so make sure to subscribe to not miss that video. So how should we take profit in this market when the time comes? The number one thing that is going to make people fail this cycle is exactly the same thing that made people fail the last cycle: themselves. Your biggest enemy in this space is yourself and your emotions. Now, dealing with this is way harder than it sounds. You gotta trust me on that. I'm going to give you guys an example. Recently, one of my VIP Discord altcoins, Sensei, did a 12x in total from where we got in. Even though most of my VIP members follow my cellular and took profits, some still subscribe to the idea that this can 50 to 100x, and therefore there's no point in taking profits right now. And I really don't blame them. I asked him if it was okay if I shared his anonymous story. He said yes, again, much appreciated, and you're not alone. This is his first cycle, and I did exactly the same mistake back in 2017 when I refused to take profits on my dash bags because I thought it would go way higher. The same way you DCA into an altcoin, you DCA your way out. Don't wait for it to 50, 100x, but take profits along the way. How early depends on you and the indicators, but please don't wait too long. So what is my strategy moving forward? First, for some context, I have about 30% in stables. This is changing as I have cash flow. My goal is never to be 100% in the market. Keep in mind that the USD percentage could be completely different for you. There's no magical number. It depends on cash flow, neuroticism, risk tolerance, crypto to net worth ratio, goals, and your whole life situation. You have to evaluate this for yourself. Don't blindly listen to someone who tells you to be X% in the market. They have no clue about you or your situation. So here are the two things I will be looking at. Number one is safety nets. If you've been following the channel, you know why I'm so big on this. It's because these move first and you can rotate. This is what I do every single cycle to maximize my gains. For some reason, I see no other YouTuber talking about this model, but what you can do is invest in big caps, and when they move, take some profit in fiat and invest the remaining USDT in lower cap altcoins that have not moved yet. By following this framework right here, you are going to make so much more money compared to what you would have done just sitting on your low cap, waiting for it to 100x. Also, remember, rotation doesn't have to be from big caps to small caps. It can be from narrative to narrative. Like for instance, we recognized that AI agents was a hot narrative. We took profits on Sensei and rotated that profit into other narratives that were still undervalued. Second thing I'm looking at is mid to low cap altcoins, and more specifically, meme coins. I believe meme coins are going to bounce back again exactly the same way they did May to June this year, when all the other narratives were tanking. Meme coins have also been underperforming quite heavily over the last couple of weeks, so we're building up our meme coin positions, including our secret meme coin gem, preparing for this to happen. We don't know when, but make sure to have a bag for when the market decides that memes are bullish again. I'm also, of course, taking advantage of everything that is cheap right now. If you want to see my buy and more importantly, my sell alerts, then join my VIP. These are the results after the March peak. When joining, check out our resources channel where you will find the profit taking strategy together with our calculator to make sure that you take profit when you're supposed to. By joining, you also get a portfolio review so that I can personally review it to see if you're holding coins that won't perform. I usually spend around 1 hour on each review to make sure I tailor the review to your needs. Prices will of course increase soon. Looking forward to see you there. As always, take care and stay safe.